Hello, everyone. Good evening. Can you guys hear me well? It's clear in the background? Excellent. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is Army Corps of Engineers Town Hall, and I'm here to welcome everyone and say a few remarks as I introduce the colonel up here. As I mentioned, it's really appreciated to have all the community members here engaged and willing to learn and discover what is actually taking place with this project. You know, as you know, for many generations, the Whittier Dam has played a crucial role in a big impact to our community as it relates to growing Pico Rivera. Pico Rivera is who it is today because of the Whittier Dam when it was built back in the 40s. And so we have grown, we have thrived, and you know, some properties that we learned to be part of us. And some of you probably wondered, wait a minute, I thought it was always Pico Rivera. And in essence it was, but it was always been federal land and something that we obviously are dealing with today. So, and when those times, you know, the memories and the community that we build, specifically with Pico Boys baseball over at Streamland Park, and you got the sports arena and many others that activities, the golf course that many of our youth have played over the years. Those three parks and areas of recreation have developed and thrived and identified us for who we are, specifically on the north side. But as any critical infrastructure, there comes a time that we need the improvements, and the time for the Whittier Dam improvements have come. And of course, the Army Corps of Engineers is here to explain to you exactly what that is. You know, and for the most part, as you know, this project is about safety. It's about ensuring that the dam continues to protect our residents from the risk of flooding. At the same time, we recognize that these improvements do not come with a real impact. A lot of questions were asked from day one and continue to be asked. So why do you fix a dry dam? There's no water out there. It's not like we live in Texas or Florida where, you know, there's a constant flow of rains and hurricanes and so forth. But as some of my experience, we've had some pretty tough rains over the years, and the Army Corps of Engineers will explain to you exactly why they've decided to move and elevate this project to a high level of importance for improvement. So we understand the loss and disruption that brings, whether it's long-standing community institutions like Pico Boys and the sports arena, or the day-to-day challenges of construction, including traffic, noise, and dust. These are not small impacts, and we want you to know that we see that and we hear you and we're listening to it. And one of the conversations we continue to have with Army Corps, and most recently, is dealing with the issues of security, the issues of noise, the issues of pollution, the dust mitigation. And so those are specific things that we have as a city been working with the Army Corps, and they have been working with us and trying to figure that out, because this project is going to be impactful, but these are the specific concerns that we have as a community. While this is federal land managed by the U.S. Corps of Engineers, the city has been actively working to stay ahead of these impacts since as early as 2008. We, the city of Pico Rivera, have been traveling to D.C., meeting with our federal officials, with the Army Corps in D.C. and California and local, to address these issues, because initially it was like, okay, this is your land. You are, you know, taking it for the improvements of safety. We've grown in this, within this land. How do you make us whole? Yes, this impacts this entire region, all the way down to Long Beach, but we, Pico Rivera, are the ones that are impacted the most. So we've been trying to figure out, how do you make us whole? Now, the Army Corps of Engineers has the task. They're not obligated to make us whole, but our federal representatives have been assisting us to try to figure out, how do we make Pico Rivera whole? The loss of Streamland Park, the loss of the golf course, the loss of access to the sports arena. Those are the impacts, and we continue to fight for those dollars to, you know, relocate Pico Boys in particular. And with that, I want to thank Congresswoman Linda Sanchez for her advocacy and for serving as a liaison between our city and the Army Corps, ensuring concerns and needs of our community are communicated effectively to the Corps and federal government. We are committed to advocating for our community, pushing for strong mitigation measures, including dust control, noise reduction, traffic management, and above all, public safety. We're also working closely to explore both short-term and long-term solutions for displaced programs and facilities and maintain access to the sports arena and continue legacy with the Pico Boys as well. This town hall is one of several. There are because we believe in communication, direct, transparent. I talked about how do we deal with the Pico Boys as an example. We've been working with them to try to find some other areas for them to play. We're looking for short-term and long-term solutions for that. It's not easy to find another park because we don't have that particular land, but we're working to that. I've heard, folks, and again, Army Corps can tell you about that, but, because of this project, a lot of rumors have come about data centers and other projects. As far as I know, as far as the information that I've received, there's no such thing of data centers. And we've also heard about that we're knocking down the sports arena. There is no intent to knock down the sports arena. It's an iconic venue that we're trying to do to save it, but there's some access challenges on the south side of the road. So the sports arena will continue to exist, and but with limitations based on this the project. So, we want to, make sure that we as a city council are here for you to make sure that as the Army Corps of Engineers move through these projects, one important thing is to have the communication with you all, because this town hall is just one of many that we're going to be doing. But above and beyond what the Army Corps is going to do, we want to make sure we communicate with you directly. We want to make sure that it's not just an 800 number that you can call. There's not just some message that you're going to leave. We want to be there directly at your home, speaking to you as a city to make sure that whatever concerns you have, we're able to address them. And I was just having a conversation with Colonel Baker, and I explained to him, we just met today, but I explained to him what I explained to his staff and to the contractor when we had meetings, that it's the security issues, there's the noise issues, there's the dust mitigation problems, there's the traffic issues, but we need to be able to address them for you. It's a construction project. It's going to make the impacts, but sometimes you're going to have some specific issues that maybe the contractor itself, not the Army Corps, is not addressing. But we want to make sure that we have a direct line of communication, and that's a conversation I had with the Colonel, that we're able to address that for you, because we recognize that this is impactful. This will be an issue, nightmarish for many years to come, but I assure you that the city is doing what it can to work together with the Army Corps so this project, is mitigated and less impactful for you. But with that, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. I want to introduce Colonel Baker to say a few words farewell. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thanks very much for that great introduction, and thanks to all of you for being here tonight. My name's Colonel Andy Baker. I'm the commander of the Los Angeles District Corps of Engineers. We're working together in concert with some other entities within the Corps of Engineers on this project. You'll also hear probably from time to time that the Tulsa District is helping us out. They've got some specialities that they bring to the table. But we're here with you every step of the way as the Los Angeles District as we work to deliver this project. So we're here tonight to talk about really what we're doing, to answer questions, and to talk to you about why this project matters for the community of Pico Rivera, and also really for the people of Los Angeles. So I'm going to start off. I'm just going to give you a kind of a quick rundown. I'm going to be followed by Aaron Smith, who some of you have had the pleasure of meeting, certainly in the crowd. He's our PM and is going to represent the project delivery team. But just for background, so the Corps, the Army Corps of Engineers, constructed Whittier Narrows Dam way back in 1957, and it's one of 5 dams that are part of what we reference in the Corps as the Los Angeles County drainage system. This drainage system provides flood risk protection to really the entire county of Los Angeles. We built it, as I said, way back in 57, so it's been about 60 years since it was constructed, and it continues. It's very important to remember that it continues to perform as it was designed. It helps manage flood risk across Los Angeles for more than 1 million people downstream from where we're at, from where it's at, and about $200 billion in property that constitutes that area that protects. So back in 2016, the Corps of Engineers classified Whittier and Narrows Dam as an urgent, very high risk one of just two that exist in the nation. And it's really on account of two things. The first is the fact that it's got a very large population right downstream. And the second is the likelihood, just given the age of the dam, given its kind of what we designed it to do when we first put it in, given its age and increased likelihood that it could fail. Not that it will fail, but that it could fail. So in 2019, we completed a dam safety modification study and began the design phase for construction to modify the dam that same year. This year, or last year, April 2025, we awarded a pre-construction contract to Barnard Construction. They're the great contractors that are going to put this thing in. And in March 2026, we awarded the construction phase of the contract. So how is this going to affect the community? That's what folks are most interested in, I know. You're going to see traffic pattern changes. You're going to see, as the mayor alluded to, some park closures, some effects to the trail that goes across the dam. And we know these disruptions matter. Especially, I think, Mayor, you put it really well. This protects, like I said, 1 million people, countless billions in property. But you're the folks that live right next to this dam. You're the ones that are impacted the most while we construct it. So we know these disruptions matter, and we want to be as transparent as possible and as forthright with information as possible as we complete this journey together to repair this dam. So we're working closely with the city of Pico Rivera. We work with Los Angeles County, Barnard Construction, as I mentioned, and other federal partners to coordinate this effort. And we're looking to really minimize its impacts on you whenever possible, recognizing that there are going to be impacts as we build this. We value our partnerships, absolutely. This is, as the mayor said, one of many town halls. We want to be on this journey with you as we start now and look to complete this work. I want to emphasize that life safety is always our priority in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which is why we've endeavored to fix the dam here. And although there's always risk associated with dams, and we can always improve flood risk management, we could always make things safer, we can't totally eliminate it. We're going to continue to seek opportunities to communicate with you, the folks in this room, and your friends and neighbors about the importance of the dam safety project, and ensure that it continues to function as it was designed for generations. So our commitment to you is to be as transparent as possible and to communicate with you throughout the life of this project. And as I kind of alluded to, most importantly, we want to hear you. We want to listen to your concerns. We want to answer your questions, and we want to make sure that you understand what's happening. If there's something out there that's a rumor, we want to address that. And if there's something out there that's true, and maybe there's a way to address it in a different way than what we thought of, we want to know about that too. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you here tonight, and looking forward to answering questions, hearing concerns, and with that, I'm going to welcome the great Aaron Smith up here, and we'll continue. So thanks very much. I appreciate it. Aaron.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor Camacho. I'm tall enough, so I'm going to stand down here with you guys if that's all right. Before I get started, I do want to let everybody know that the city has provided some translation services. Monica, our friend over here, is going to come up and talk to you a little bit about that if you need those services, and then we'll get into the logistics and talk to you a little bit about the project.
Buenas tardes, soy Mónica Curiel, la intérprete para esta tarde. Si necesitan o prefieren interpretación, va a ser simultáneo a través del equipo y estoy aquí si necesitan en cualquier momento de la reunión. Gracias.
Thank you, Monica. Hey, I didn't plan to start off this way when the day started, but I've come to understand that there's a rumor going around that this project is perhaps a guise for a data center. I just need to start off and assure you guys that this project has nothing to do with a data center. This is a U.S. Army project. This is a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers project to keep you safe. This is an investment in a piece of infrastructure that has allowed LA County to develop the way it has today, along with those 4 other dams that Colonel Baker mentioned. No, you don't want us involved in a data center. None of us know what a data center is. We have no clue what a data center is. We do know what dams are. We own 700 of them across the nation. There's actually 90,000 dams across the nation. Most of them are small, privately owned. The 700 we own are treasures that protect lives across our nation. That's what this dam does. It protects lives here in Los Angeles County. Our mission, our sole focus, is to protect your lives by doing this project. We have nothing to do with a data center. We're here tonight. We're going to be in your community working for the next several years because we care about you. And we care about your lives, and we want to make sure that you and your children and your grandchildren and all your neighbors and all their relatives receive the same benefit that this dam has provided you guys for years. Now, I understand what Mayor Camacho was saying. This is a dry dam. What does it do for you? It's a silent piece of infrastructure. You don't see or feel what it does for you. And yes, you guys live in a Mediterranean climate where rain is not a daily threat to you. But whether you know it or not, every single year, this dam and the 4 others we have kept Los Angeles from annual flooding threats. And these dams, put together with the channels and the levees that we've built with the county, have allowed Los Angeles to develop in a way it never would have without it. That being said, this dam and those dams were put into place for storms that have yet to happen. We build the dams that we build across the nation as stewards of taxpayers, of U.S. citizens, as civilians and uniformed members of the U.S. Army to protect lives for very large and impactful projects, storms. And that's what we're going to be talking to you about tonight. So I just wanted to start off with that. This is not a data center project. This is not a take away your parks project. That's not why we're here. We're here because we want to protect you guys, and we'll talk about that here a little bit tonight. So I'm going to go through a presentation. I'm going to invite some conversations with some folks as we go, but I'm going to try to get through that as quickly as possible so that you guys can meet some of my teammates, the smart folks who are actually doing the hard work. They're sitting in the back of the room. Could you raise your hand if you're here tonight to talk to the public so they can find you, please? They should all have these little blue name badges on them. If they are native Spanish speakers, they will say habla español. You can find them as well. After I'm done boring you, go back there and talk to them, ask them, find out the answers to your questions, put your comments in place. That's what they're here to help you guys with. Okay. Colonel Baker talked about dam failure. That's a scary topic, the failure of a dam. Many of you probably see this dam from your houses, or you see it every day coming into from work. Talking about a dam failure is a very scary topic. I want you to be a little bit scared of that. I'm taking this investment because I'm scared of it. But I'm worried about this dam failing from very unlikely storms. Like I said, we build big dams for big storms. And those big storms haven't occurred yet. And there is no immediate risk to you or any daily risk to you associated with this project. 2023, 2024, we had a couple wet winters in Los Angeles. It was good, right? Helped break that drought that we've all been experiencing for over a decade. We held some water behind this dam. We kept water out of your community during those events. Those were ho-hum events for this dam. We had zero performance concerns with this dam. At no point in time were we worried that this dam presented any threat to you from those reservoirs that we held behind it. We have never felt that in the 70 years that it's been put into place. But frankly, we didn't build this dam to protect you from 70 years worth of rain events. We built this dam to protect you from any type of rain event that could occur. And we know that there are some big storms, some atmospheric rivers, sometimes you hear them called pineapple expresses. They're probable, very unlikely, but probable, that could put this dam at harm and put all of your lives in harm, which is why we're going to be in this community for the next 4, 5, 6 years, making sure that that doesn't happen. And we're doing that for you guys. But you do not need to go home tonight and be scared to death that you live downstream of this dam. All right, I want to talk a little bit about 2 categories of information to try to address some concerns up front. Things that we are confident in, and then I'll talk about things that we've still got some uncertainties about. I think I've driven this home. I am confident that this project is for you and everybody who lives downstream of this dam. Frankly, everybody in Los Angeles. It's that important. I am confident that when we're done with this project, this dam will be safer. And you guys won't have to worry about it the way you have to worry about it now. Even if it's not a daily threat, I'm confident it will be better when we're done. I'm confident this will not be the only time you hear from us. Mayor Comancho has made that very clear to me. And we've worked with him and his staff to make sure that we are available, not only leading up to construction, but during construction. I want to be open and transparent with you about what's going on, and if, and probably when, something happens that we did not intend to happen, you've got a feedback loop to us so that we can correct it as fast as possible. I am very confident that we have done what we can to minimize the impacts to your community during this period of construction. But I am also confident that you will feel impacts associated with this project. I'm confident that many of you will leave this meeting tonight worried about those impacts. And I am confident that while we will be open and transparent with you about what we can do, many of you are going to wish that we could do more. And I just want to be honest about that. I'm doing what I can. I'm confident when we're done, this dam's going to kind of look like the way it does today. And this park space that you're going to lose during construction will be available for park space again. Will it look exactly the same the way it does today? Will it be used exactly the same way it is today? Probably not. But we want that park space back in Pico Rivera's hands as soon as we can get it to you. All right, here's some things I'm not entirely confident about right now. I don't know exactly where we're going to start construction. I think we're going to start sometime between October and December of this year. What's driving that uncertainty? I'm still working on some of the logistics with our contractor about how they're going to come and go, specifically with your city management. I'm still finalizing some of their staging areas and their sequencing and how we're going to do this work. We have all the money we need to get the work executed. We've awarded the contract, and we're going to get started this fall. If it's 1 October or 1 December, I'm not entirely confident, but it will be sometime this calendar year. I just mentioned, I'm not confident in the precise construction traffic haul routes that our contractor will have to use. But I am confident that we're going to have to use city streets, and we're going to have to come and go from upstream of the dam to downstream of the dam. Most of the work that we have to do to improve this dam is on the portion of the dam that faces your community. And there's no way we can get to that portion of the dam without coming through your city. So I'm confident that that's going to happen. I'm also confident that there's going to be a lot of construction traffic in and around the dam during the period of construction. We're going to talk today about some of the features we're going to be putting into place, but it requires large volumes of sands, gravels, and concrete. Particularly the concrete has to be batched and mixed and delivered to the dam in a very short time frame for it to provide the shielding, the power, the strength that we need for that dam to be put into place. And so how we can get to the dam and how quickly we can get to the dam is very important to make sure that we achieve the quality that we get. We're still working on some of those logistics. We've got meetings with city management to continue to work on that. We'll know more this summer, and we'll be back to tell you when we do know. Almost all the significant construction we do, we've scheduled for Monday through Friday during business hours. I will tell you, I wish we didn't have to do that. I wish we could do it 24/7. Why do I wish I could do it 24/7? Because I'd get done a lot quicker. I'd be out of here a lot faster. It would save tax dollars as well if I could do it more efficiently. But I also know that this is the most urban dam the Corps of Engineers owned. And there are hundreds of you that are directly adjacent to this dam with your houses, and most of you probably like to sleep at night. And so we have restricted most of the work to daylight hours. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some changes that we have to make to Rosemead and to Lincoln. And those changes, well, traffic will be open on those roads. I'll have to make some changes that are best done at night because there tends to be less traffic at night. And I also think the reality is that there are going to be some times where we see opportunities to be able to do some night work on the dam, either because it is too hot during the day to get it done, or it's too cold, or we can make some very quick, limited placements that would allow us to get out of here more quickly. Those will be variances. Our contractor will have to ask our permission to do that. We will work with your city to try to minimize those times and durations to only what's required and keep the impacts as small as possible. But they probably are going to happen. We also project the period of performance, the time it's going to take to get this dam fixed, to be about 4 to 5 years. So if we start at the end of this year, you add 5 years to that, 2031, right? Most of everything you're going to see tonight written down, and if you go to our website, it's going to say we're going to get done in 2033. So I put a little contingency on that time, because when you do large construction like this on a dam that has to function during weather events, there are weather events or other natural hazards that could happen, fires, earthquakes, those sorts of things that could slow us down. So I'm not entirely confident that I can get it done in 4 to 5 years. 2033 we're more confident in. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're actually doing at the dam today, talk about what construction is going to look like, remind you guys of the long-term benefits, and then help you understand how you can stay informed and engaged with us. All right, so what are we doing? What are we worried about with this dam? There's 2 ways we worry about this dam failing. The first one is we have a large storm event, larger than has ever occurred in the 70 years since the dam was built. We project that the San Gabriel River or the Rio Hondo or the LA River could go out of bank. We hold those waters behind the dam. Those waters continue to rise to levels not seen in the life of the dam. Because the dam is so strong and competent itself, it won't allow that water to go through the dam. But that water is doing everything it can to get downstream. And what commonly happens is the water will percolate underneath the dam, through the soils that it's founded on and find its way on the downstream side. It's extremely common with dams like this, fairly innocuous situation. Unfortunately, the soils that are underneath this dam are highly erodible sands. And so that water, as it's pushing down on those sands and trying to get downstream, creates such a pressure that it can start opening up a cavity or a tunnel underneath the dam. That cavity or tunnel can actually get big enough to undermine the entire dam, cause the dam to fall, and then send a tidal wave downstream. Fortunately, we have tried and true solutions to that problem that we've implemented across the country. Without getting too engineering about it, and if you're more interested, I got some folks in the back can explain to it. We're going to dig a trench on the Pico Rivera side of the dam. For lack of a better term, it's like a French drain. It collects that water, relieves those pressures, and keeps those sands from eroding backwards and creating that tunnel underneath the dam. That trench will extend almost along the base of the entire dam. And then we'll add some more dam on top of it. We call it a berm. And that berm will have add some weight and help arrest any concern that we have about that soil eroding underneath it. The second concern we have is from a far more extreme event. What we know now with modern forecasting and the changes to the terrain and the environment that have occurred since we built the dam. There's a lot more pavement since we built this dam. That there is now water, there are now storms that could occur that exceed the dam's capacity to store them. In other words, even with us letting water out through the Rio Hondo or the San Gabriel rivers, there can be more inflow than we can push safely outstream. And sooner or later, that water is going to get high enough that it's going to overtop the dam. The dam is not designed to receive the water coming down over top of it. And the dam will quickly start to cut back, erode, and then again send a dangerous tidal wave to you all downstream. So how are we going to solve that problem? We're going to add a shield to the downstream face of the dam, the Pico Rivera side facing of the dam, facing your community, like armor. It's going to be basically made out of concrete. It's going to be designed as a series of steps that are designed to protect the dam, dissipate the energy of that water coming up and over the dam, and keep it from failing. Now, if I was you all, I'd be asking, why are you letting the dam overtop at all? Why aren't you just raising it so it doesn't overtop? Two reasons. One, this is a very unlikely event. Very unlikely event. But the damages, if it were to happen, are so catastrophic that I can't sit here with a straight face and tell you guys you're safe if I don't make sure that the dam doesn't fail. To raise the dam, to keep it from overtopping, would require me to take some more real estate, buy some of your all's houses to be able to do that. And then I would also have to buy a lot of land upstream because now I can impound a lot more water behind it. So I'm talking about impacting a lot of communities for an event that is extremely unlikely to occur. The overtopping flows themselves will contribute very little to the flooding that will be happening downstream during an event like this anyways. And so protecting the dam from failing is the most reasonable solution that we can come up with that also is the least impactful to all the folks who live in and around it. Okay. Colonel Baker mentioned that we awarded our construction last month. The areas that you're looking on here, we're kind of looking at a aerial overview of the dam. You can see the Rio Hondo on the left, San Gabriel on the left, the Rio Hondo on the right. Everything hatched in red that you see on this map here is going to be our construction site. So all of that will be closed off to the public. That is going to be our contractor's area. They're going to have laydown areas in that. They're going to have batch plants in there. They're going to have heavy construction, and they're going to be changing the downstream face of the dam to add that trench, that berm, and that shield or that armor. What's that going to look like? Here are some pictures from some demonstrations we did of the work up at Santa Fe Dam, up in Irwindale last year, that demonstrate generally what you're going to see. Like I mentioned, you're going to see a lot of construction equipment and traffic moving in and around the dam. Most of the excavation and placement you see will be on the downstream face of the dam, facing the city of Pico Rivera. You're going to see them excavating into the dam. That's okay. We've designed and sequenced that work to keep the dam operational and safe to you while we're working on it. We're not going to make the dam more vulnerable while we're fixing it, but you are going to see them excavating into the dam. You're going to see them excavating that big trench at the base of the dam. That's okay. We've sequenced it and designed it to make sure the dam's not more vulnerable during construction. You're going to see them bringing in large volumes of sand and gravel and placing it against that dam. Those sands and gravels need to go underneath that shield to keep any seepage that comes through that area from popping underneath that shield and hurting it. And then you're going to see them out there placing those steps. And then you're going to see us burying all that to make it very much look like it does today. You're not going to see that all at once across the entire 3 miles of the dam. We'll be working in specific sections, probably multiple sections at a time, but you're going to see a lot of equipment doing that. You're going to see excavators, rollers, potentially conveyances going up and around the dam. Like I mentioned, most of that's going to be done during business hours, Monday through Friday. And we're going to secure the site through physical barriers and 24-hour armed security. That's not just to keep the public out, which is important, because this is going to be a very dangerous place to be, but it's also to make sure that the unfortunate reality is we've got a lot of unhoused folks around here, and we want to make sure that this does not become an attractive place for them to domicile or add any nuisances to the community that you guys don't already have to suffer. All right. Do I have anybody in the audience who lives right up against the dam or can see it? Got a few. Anybody willing to talk to me a little bit? I was asking if there's anyone in the audience who lives directly adjacent to the dam or can see the dam from their house.
I'm a resident at Villanova Mobile Home Park.
Hi, I'm Aaron.
Hi, Aaron. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's interesting that we look at this because there are several homes in our area that are sinking. Is this a result of what was previously done, or is all this water that is retained back somehow affecting our homes?
There should be nothing about the performance of the dam that's affecting the...
Why would the property be sinking?
That I don't know. That's a good question. And where did you say your property is?
It's on Beverly. Beverly, between the bridge, Montebello on one side, Pico on the other side.
That sounds like an awful problem. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you what that is.
There's like 4 houses that are affected, and I feel bad for the owners because they get no results from management at our park. And I hope it's not happening in the other mobile home parks.
I hope not too.
Yeah. Will this help that?
This should not make a difference one way or the other. I bet you were wishing to hear it would. Anybody else see or live adjacent to the dam? Want to talk to me about any concerns they have? I got a mic over there. Give me a second.
Okay, hello, hi, nice to meet you. My name is Anna, and we live on Gallatin and Rosemead. And our concern is mostly the traffic, if it's gonna be blocked, and what we should expect, and then also the noise. Now, you mentioned that it's gonna be during the day, so that kind of answers my question, but mostly the traffic, because it gets very heavy as it is. So we're hoping it's not gonna be, we know it's gonna be, there's going to be some effect, but if you could just give us some more feedback on that.
Sure. Can I take that? Thanks, Anna. If you live near Rosemead and Gallatin, yeah, you're going to see more traffic for sure. That is that is a prime area that allows us to get into Streamland Park, right? Taking Gallatin up to Durfee. The city specifically has that zoned for haul traffic, which is one reason we're looking at that as a principal access point. Streamland Park is a place that gives us enough space to be able to stage a lot of this large volume of equipment, but it also allows us to access the dam to make those placements in that timely manner that I was talking to you in the most efficient way we can get there. It's also a critical area where we've got to make some modifications to make sure the dam is safe. We're looking at other access routes. That may not be the only one, but I don't want you to walk away from here saying, I'm going to be seeing minimal construction traffic coming through my neighborhood if that's where you live. You're going to see a lot more traffic.
Another question, will this affect our flood zoning in any way?
So I'm not an expert in flood hazard mapping, but most of it is associated with flood events that people have to worry about if they don't live downstream of a dam. A dam usually removes you from those sort of flood hazard events. The concerns that we have on this dam come from such extreme storms. Those are usually not captured in flood hazard maps that require insurance changes anyways. Anything we do to the dam should improve that situation. So my expectation would be that I would not see a change in your flood hazard mapping associated with this project. Your flood hazards will get reduced, but they're going to be from very extreme storms. And again, as an owner of a piece of infrastructure that we've put into place that you guys should rely on, not only for storms that occur every year, but as storms that can occur every century, that's what we're making this investment for. Make sure of that. Hi, I'm Aaron. Nice to meet you.
So we live by the golf course, and so we just wanted to know if the construction would also affect maybe like Cruise Road or like right where Streamland Park is, where it's Cruise and Durfee, or even that road that's by the dam, that's like leads you to the golf course, or just in the houses around that area, if those roads would get blocked too.
I don't think right now we have an intention to block any roads. I think you should expect to see some traffic, especially coming up Fairway into the golf course. And again, the golf course will be closed. And that area will be another area where we're digging that trench, adding that berm, and putting that material. It's also a large flat area that allows us to do a lot of staging. One of the challenges our contractor has is that the areas that are not adjacent to homes, that they have to stage and keep equipment and batch all that concrete, is also in an area where I store water when it rains. And so they've got to balance their risk and the timing and duration it's going to take for them to get this project done against what can I do downstream that minimizes but doesn't eliminate the impacts you're going to guys are going to proceed versus what can I put upstream that keeps getting flooded and damaged and has to be replaced and means that I'm going to be here for 10, 11, 12 years associated with that. If I could stay out of your backyards, golly, I'd stay out of your backyards. But I just can't and get this project done in a reasonable amount of time. Got another one. See how far this cord can stretch. I got another one over there. I'll go get that.
Okay. Yes, come closer because my English is not really like that good. I'm Mario.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, I guess we've been talking already about all the equipment that's going to be moving around the city, right? One of my biggest concerns are about there is many things that are not supposed to be touched because they're settled on the ground already. Is there anything like you guys going to be looking on the quality of the air to protect the residents? There are obviously the air quality is going to get affected for the whole city, and also in regards, I think we all are here because we like the way that we have our lifestyle, right? Businesses, home, and everything. Who's going to be responsible to keep for whatever issues might happen? how things are going to get affected in regards to business and the way that we interact around our neighborhood. So those are basically 3 things that I'm asking you for.
Sure. Yeah, those are all good questions and good concerns to have. So, yes, does that look quiet and peaceful to you? It will not be quiet and peaceful, but our contractor is required to comply with every noise and dust ordinance that the county and the city has. And we're going to work to make sure that they do. And if for some reason that doesn't happen, trust me, there's going to be feedback loops to take corrective action. Does that mean that you guys won't see or notice this? No, you'll see and notice it. But we're going to do everything we can. We're going to do all the best practices to limit dust and noise. We'll be spraying a lot of gray water out there, making sure that this stays down. They're actually doing noise and vibration baseline studies now. They're putting equipment throughout the community so they make sure they understand what the baseline is for noise and vibration. And they're not allowed to exceed those baseline limits. But that doesn't mean you guys aren't going to notice this. I just don't want to set a false expectation. In terms of how you guys live, operate on your daily basis, I'm hoping us working business hours Monday through Friday limits that as much as possible for you guys. You know, our contractor will be required to comply with every local law and ordinance. If you see them speeding through your neighborhood, trust me, you're going to have ways to get a hold of us in the city, and we're going to take action immediately. But they are going to have to come through your city to implement this project. Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Good.
Appreciate you coming out. Thank you so much for this presentation. My question to you is, we live about a block down south of the dam, right near the golf course. Are there any areas where you've found, you talked about seepage that comes underground, are there any areas that you found that happening yet, or that's not happened yet?
Yeah, most of the areas where we've observed seepage, you know, the thing about water is it's trying to get up as fast as it can. And as soon as it clears the dam, what we call the toe of the dam, that water's percolating up just as fast as it can. So the concerns we have with where that water comes up and then could start eroding that cavity underneath the dam are fortunately right at the toe of the dam, and more fortunately on land already owned by the government and not populated with your all's houses. So where we're going to be putting that trench and that berm is going to address where we have those concerns, and that should arrest the problem. We do have water seeping through. Yes, that's happened, but there has not been enough pressure because we haven't held enough water against the upstream side of the dam. Sorry if I misunderstood your question.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to take one more. Come on. And then I'm going to remind you, I've got lots of teammates back that can answer all your questions after this too.
Okay, my name is Joe Sanchez. I'm a concerned resident. I'm a retired. I worked 22 years and I was a real estate investor. And I got a lot of questions. Number one question I have is, we're talking about the traffic, right? So we're talking about the dam and fiber optics. The dam, all the construction that you're going to do, and the fiber optics that the city's going to do too, it's all tied together?
I'm not aware of any fiber optics project.
Well, you tell Mr. Camacho about that because he knows about that. They're supposed to start it next month. Right, Camacho? Well, it does, because there's going to be a lot of construction throughout the whole city. It's not just going to be him, the dam, it's going to be the fiber optics too. That's my concern. But I want to say something. Can I talk a little bit about it? I only had 2 days to talk about this, and I want to talk a little bit. Can I?
Sure.
Okay. Secretive planning. Decisions regarding major infrastructure are being made behind closed doors, leaving the public to deal with the consequences after the fact. The riverbed and water management. Questioning the sudden urgency regarding riverbed enforcement and maintenance. We have not seen sufficient rainfall in centuries. I'm 70 years old. I've never had it. Centuries that would justify these extreme measures or the disruption they cause. Is the city used the threat as a national disaster as a cover or industrial expansion? We demand to know if there is a legitimate threat or if this is a manufactured crisis to justify land seizures and construction. Pico Rivera oversight. The lack of transparency in the Pico Rivera area suggests that there is more going on than what is being reported to the taxpayers. Preparation and profit. If the city truly expects a disaster, why are they prioritizing the fiber optics and the clear, honest community evacuation and safety? We are tired of excuses. There is a real disaster threat. If there is a real disaster threat, be honest with us. If not, stop using it as a shield to hide your deals with engineering firms. The residents of Pico Rivera and the surrounding areas deserve the truth, not shadiness. And you were talking about the flooding, right? You're talking about there could be a disaster. Well, I got to say, last few years, climate change, that's a big hoax. And they're talking about, you see in the sky, chemtrails. All these chemtrails, they're manipulating, they're doing it to us. All this water that's coming down is manipulated from chemtrails, and that's part of DARPA. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Probably won't address any of your concerns tonight, but thanks for sharing them with us. Hey, sure, Mayor Comanche, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to address one of the comments that was made by a resident that somehow there's a fiber optic project that is being done by gateway cities. Unrelated, it's not even a city project, but somehow it's being rumored or that this project and that project is a conspiracy of some sorts for data centers. And I assure you that what I know, what the city knows, and all the facts, and you can come to the city hall to find out, and they'll tell you that fiber optics is an independent project. This project is a federal Army project, so there's no tie to that. And once again, as was stated by Aaron, and was stated by myself, and will continue to be stated, that there is no data centers, as has been going on with other cities, that is coming to Pico Rivera. At least I don't support data centers. So please, research the facts, ask the questions, but, make sure you do the proper research. But with this big project that it is, a lot of rumors, a lot of conspiracies are being developed, and so I stay with the facts, people, and I just assure you that if you stick with the facts, whether you believe in climate change or not, that's on your opinion, but the reality is independent projects. So we'll be giving you the information as we hear it, asking the questions on your behalf, fighting for you, as I mentioned to you, the City Council, mitigating these issues and these impacts to you, doing what we can to help those who are being displaced, like Pico Boys, in any which way we can. But please, the facts, conspiracies, research them. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Mayor Comanche. And listen, having heard that you're going to have this amount of significant construction in your community over this period of time, I get that that would cause concern and anger, and it might make me upset too, to be frank with you, so I empathize with that. I'll just drive home and reinforce, this is not a climate change job. This is not a data center job. This is an infrastructure resiliency job to protect lives. And it starts with Pico Rivera, and it goes all the way to the Pacific Ocean, and that's why we're here. All right, I'm going to talk to you about some other impacts. Unfortunately, I'm not done, because there are going to be some more impacts. There are two places on this dam that I cannot place that shield, that armor I talked to you about, those concrete steps, and dissipate the energy of the water and keep two very important transportation arteries functional. And that's Lincoln and that's Rosemead. You just can't put that kind of armor on it and then have vehicles drive over it. So those two locations, we're actually going to raise those two portions of the dam so they never receive those overtopping flows. We're going to raise those two roads about 6 feet. And in the case of Lincoln, we're going to shift its alignment a little bit to the east to try to preserve a utility corridor for the number of utilities that run down Lincoln. Now, our goal is to keep all lanes on those two roads open 90+% of the time. There will have to be some lane closures, obviously, as we shift lanes. A lot of that will be at night. But the lanes are going to be smaller, speed limits are going to be slower, and traffic's going to back up as we modify those two roads. The mayor already mentioned this. We're going to have to permanently close that portion of Rooks Road that leads from the 605 up over the dam over to the sports arena. That road is just not compatible with what we have to do with this project. It is not, I'm sorry. If I didn't have to close that road, I wouldn't, but I have to. We are not closing the sports arena. We're not causing the sports arena to be closed. The sports arena will be open, viable, and accessible during construction and afterwards. We're committed to working with the city to see if there's an alternate access that we can provide after construction, either through the dam, up and over it, or around it. But a part of my project, I can't replace that road. So you might ask, why can I raise Lincoln and Rosemead, and why can't I do the same for Rooks Road? The answer is federal fiscal law. Rosemead and Lincoln predate the dam. They were there before the dam showed up. And so when we showed up to the dam, we did not buy those roads out and pay for all the rights associated with them. We asked permission to raise those roads so that they could stay functional and we could put our dam in place. And because they have first right to that land, we're not going to buy them out again. We're going to raise those roads. Rooks Road was put into place after the dam was put into place through an out grant, a real estate permission on our part to put it into place. And when we offer those opportunities for people to use our land to their benefit after we put that dam in place, I'm precluded from spending monies to replace those facilities. Try to think of a good analogy for this. I'm not sure there's a perfect one, but if you had a large farm and you weren't using 10 acres of it, and your neighbor asked if they could put some improvements on those 10 acres, and you were like, sure, you can go ahead and do it, but if I need those 10 acres back, I'm not going to pay you for what I let you put on my land. It's not a perfect analogy, but that's the reason why I can't spend money on Rooks Road. But again, sports arenas should stay open during construction and after. Okay, and the mayor's obviously talked about this. The two big closures are going to be Streamland Park, including the Pico Boys, which I understand we're dealing with the 70th anniversary this year. Terrible timing. I totally get it. And then the golf course. If I could modify this dam and not close those two parks, I would do it. Trust me, I get how important they are to the community. And we are thrilled that we've been able to let you guys use that land for park space over the past 70 years. But those are two critical locations where we've got to put those trenches and those berms in place and make sure that this dam is safe for you guys in the future. And they're also two critical locations that give my contractor a place to stage and do work that is not an area that's designed to be flooded with stormwaters. And so unfortunately, I'm going to have to close those two parks during construction. I'll get you in just a second. Now, when we're said and done, those two areas will be available for recreation space again. And our goal and our intent is to work with the city to out-grant it back to you guys to establish some recreation space. Because part of that, those parks will be permanently modified to be actually part of the dam. We're going to be pretty particular about what you put on there. We can't have you planting trees through the dams or putting deep ground penetration. So what you have there now may not be compatible with what can be there in the future, but there will be space that'll be compatible for some recreational use. All right, so let me stop there. I already saw somebody's got a question. Let me come over to you.
Yeah, for a long time, never have been a dam water coming down to the city, raining a lot, but supposedly California is in a dry city. Why you gonna do a big dam when there's no water? how the water is gonna get down if there is a dry place. California is a dry place of water. We are suffering for water. Why you think you wanna spend it, something that we don't need to spend because Pico Rivera hasn't flowed for a long time, and not Pico Rivera and other cities too.
Yeah, and I totally get that perspective. And the reality is, the way people feel that is because this dam has done its job. Pico Rivera would have flooded every year if this dam wasn't here. Pico Rivera wouldn't have the amount of land it has to develop if it wasn't for this dam and the way we've channelized those rivers. Rain does happen in Los Angeles. And when it does happen, those rivers used to move tens of miles in every direction. Without channelizing and controlling these rivers and keeping these dams in place, Pico Rivera would not be what it is today. And I get that 70 years can seem like a long time frame, but when you're talking about weather and forecasting the time of weather that could occur, we're talking about storms over hundreds of years that could occur. They have a low chance every single year, but they could still happen. In fact, I was just reading an article, was it in the LA Times, Doug? In the LA Times, that we're expecting a super El Nino this winter, right? And the last time they had a super El Nino was in the mid-90s. And we held the largest pool we've ever held behind this dam in the mid-90s. And again, that didn't cause any performance concerns on the project. But any super El Nino can become bigger than past ones. And so we want to make sure this thing's in place for you. And I get, you guys deal with droughts, and you deal with a lack of water, and so it's hard to imagine water being a problem or flooding being a problem. But we've got data, good scientific data, good historical data that tells us that we built these 5 projects and we channelized these rivers for good reason. And Los Angeles County, frankly, wouldn't look anything like it does today without those things. And they've done such a good job that flooding has not been a concern for you guys. But there are storms that are going to come one day that are going to change that perspective, and we want to make sure that this infrastructure is in place for you guys. Do I have any Pico boys in the room? Yep. Oh, it's going to reach.
Okay. Yeah, no, my worry and curiosity was earthquakes. I was involved working at Water and Power in LA about 40 years ago with the Baldwin Hills Dam, the one that nearly broke, that we all had to go in there and try to, it left a V-shaped cave-in on the top of the dam. Water was ready to flow over. And my curiosity is, what is this dam going to be? There's nothing to say it's going to be earthquake proof, but are you allowing for things like that, any contingencies that, you know, so if an earthquake hits, it won't start flooding the whole area, tear the dam apart, and water start coming down?
Yeah, good question. You guys live in a very seismically active area, for sure. And seismic concerns with our dams, especially in this area, is something we carefully evaluate. You're right, there's no such thing as earthquake proof. But this type of dam with this type of construction, we typically don't worry about an earthquake causing a seismic rupture of its project. There's always that possibility, but that possibility has to be coupled with a huge storm that's also loaded the dam with water. So a lot of the water and power dams always have water sitting behind them, right? And so a seismic event can occur and there's already water there. But generally with this type of dam, a seismic failure is not something we worry about in flooding you guys.
Yeah, that was a Van Norman Dam at the time over in West LA.
Gotcha.
The one that, because of the earthquake, it just broke.
Yeah. Yep. Did you say you're a Pico boy?
Yeah, and that also. I was there for over 20-some years with my son.
Is that right, 20 years?
Actually more than that, almost 30. I had 6 boys, 4 grandsons, 1 granddaughter. Probably my whole family graduated from that park.
So it's really not had an effect on your family at all?
They were always at my house, unfortunately.
So I imagine losing this location for that ball field is probably gonna hurt.
Oh, yeah, it will. And like you say, it's just unfortunate. It's got to be done. But like you say, it's going to be come back in about 5 years after they finish, right?
It may not be. It may not be like it is today. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. It may not be like it is today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I just worry about so many of the kids that did use that park, though. You know, they're just not going to have anywhere else to go.
Yeah. I've worked on 7 of these projects. I don't know what it is about our dams, but our dams and ball fields go together. It's like bread and butter. And it seems like every time we have to do one of these projects, we got to take one of those ball fields out during construction. I don't think I've ever worked on one where there's a 70-year tradition that runs through the community like this, and you have these sorts of generations that just have this strong, I'm going to call it familial attachment to this location. I'm not going to pretend to understand what that means to you guys, and I wish I could avoid it. I just can't, but I do apologize. I get that that's going to be a cultural wound in this community, and I wish I could heal it. I just don't have that power. Yes, ma'am. Hey, I tried to wear my Dodger blue today, too. I'm Aaron.
Yvonne,
Nice to meet you.
who's going to be responsible with the expense to make these areas whole again?
So we will, when we're said and done, it will be seeded, it will be grassed, it will be something that can be redeveloped. But just like Rooks Road, I can't spend federal dollars to reestablish recreation that we outgranted to you guys to create. So it will be a city expense to reestablish any recreational expense facilities afterwards.
Does that go for Rooks Road as well?
That goes for Rooks Road as well.
Okay, so theoretically, the city could come back and build a road there if there's
Yes,
for it?
yes, yep, that's right. It would have to be compatible with our dam and make sure it doesn't harm it, but yes, absolutely. And we're committed to working with them through that. We have a permitting process that will go through that. The boss won't let us get away with not doing that. All right, guys, what do I do with my clicker? There it is. Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm going to change mics.
Hello. It's a little bit hard to see the closures, but would any of the exits from the 605 South, would that be closed during the construction? And also, the last time the Army Corps of Engineering worked on the dam, I don't recall if it was the city or my insurance company, they asked us to have flood insurance. It was required for us to have a flood insurance. So would this reoccur again when you start working on the dam?
Okay, first, no, we will not be causing any closures to access to the 605 as associated with our project. Secondly, I am not an expert in flood insurance or flood hazards, but I don't believe anything about our project would regulatorily require you to have flood insurance. But again, I am not an expert on that.
I don't get flood insurance. We're not insured, floods or earthquakes.
No. But the last time the engineer, the Army Corps of Engineers worked on the dam, we got a letter from our insurance company. I don't remember if it was insurance company or the city that was requiring us to get flood insurance in case there was something while that work was being completed.
Well, what I can tell you is that, restate what I said before. There are dam safety concerns with this project. They're from storms that are very unlikely to happen. Most of the regulatory insurance environment has to do with what they call the 100-year flood or the storm that has a 1% chance of every year occurring. Nothing about what we're doing during construction will make the dam more vulnerable than it is today. So I can't speak to what your insurance company may or may not require or any local municipalities, but In my experience, this work does not necessarily require a regulatory requirement for flood insurance. Now, I will tell you, as somebody who spends his career worried about floods and keeping people flood safe, if you can afford flood insurance and you have any risk of having floods, especially if it's a lower risk and it becomes more affordable, I'd highly recommend you get flood insurance just to cover yourself. But I am not an expert in what's required for flood insurance. It's expensive, is that what you said? All insurance is expensive, it seems. Yeah. Okay, the last thing is, and I know, and you guys know this better than anybody, but there's a lot of trails that cross up and over this dam. Most of them are owned by LA County. They're multi-use trails, bikes, pedestrians, equestrians, but then there's also a lot of local use up and across the dam. You guys can imagine those are going to have to be closed during construction, right? I can't have you guys out there or anybody out there when we're doing that kind of heavy equipment. So you're going to see those red spots up on these maps. You're going to start seeing signs going up soon, letting people know that those trails are going to be closed as soon as we start construction. And those trails will remain closed during construction. Most of those trails will be reopened after construction. The county is working on a plan associated with the ones that are adjacent to Lincoln to reestablish them. But the ones that cross over the San Gabriel, across the dam, or behind the dam, they shouldn't be modified or harmed during construction. I just can't have people on the construction site. That's just a danger to everybody.
I live by the golf course, and I know on the weekends there's a lot of cyclists that use that parking lot to stage and use that bike path there. I think they're mostly going southbound anyways, going towards Long Beach. Is that going to be affected at all, or are the people still going to be able to use that parking lot?
The parking lot associated with the golf course itself? Yeah, there won't be any need to, because that path will be closed at that point in time, so that won't be a good staging place. Yep. That's good news. Oh. My parking all the time. Well, in 6 years, the good news will be gone, and those trails will reopen. Hey guys, thanks for hanging in there and listening to me, and thanks for having a conversation with me. I appreciate that. I'm just going to leave you on this note, and then really encourage you to take your questions back to everybody who's smarter than the tall blonde who's been standing in front of you with the microphone for the past hour. My team back there. We are here. All of these people are here for you. We're not doing this project. No one is getting rich off this project, trust me. We come to work every day because we're civil servants. We come to work every day because, honestly, we love and believe in dams. But the only reason we love and believe in dams is because what dams do for people. And dams do a lot of great things for people. Dams protect you from storms you didn't even know you needed protecting from. This dam has kept floods out of your homes, in your neighborhood, in your city without you even knowing it. This dam is here for storms that are going to occur one day that haven't occurred yet, and I want to make sure this dam does the same thing when those storms show up. This dam gives you opportunities for recreational space. This dam gives you an opportunity not to have a huge commercial development go in your backyard that might happen if this dam wasn't here. This dam creates Leg Lake. It creates open green space. We love dams because we love what they do for you. My team is here tonight. My team is here for the next 5 to 6 years because of you. And then when we're done, the Army Corps of Engineers is here for as long as there are people who need this dam. And we're going to continue to be here for you. So I appreciate you showing up tonight. I appreciate you hearing our message. I appreciate you suffering the impacts that you're going to have to suffer so that this dam can keep doing things for you. And I acknowledge that those impacts will create some wounds in this community and make your life harder. And I apologize for that. But I won't apologize for fixing this dam because I'm doing it for you. And that's why that team is here for you. So I appreciate all you coming out here tonight. Go talk to my team. Visit this website. Talk to us on this email. We're going to be back on May 7th for another town hall. If you've got neighbors, residents, relatives who'd like to hear more, it'll be the same message, but we're going to be here throughout the summer updating you on all those uncertainties and turning those into confidences. And then as construction starts, we're going to be a part of your community and engaged with you guys. Thanks for your time tonight, guys. Appreciate it.